and so that they can get an idea of the purpose of it. You walk into a shrine room like this, and you see the statuary, and you feel the atmosphere, and it's beautiful, but you may not 100% understand what it's all about. And I think there's, of course, there's a spiritual reason for this, and that is that all of the figures represented here symbolize our own mind's capacity to awaken to its own nature and to find its own, all the qualities that are within us. The mind can liberate itself from the sufferings of what the Buddha called cyclic existence, samsara, you know. The mind has the capacity to liberate itself. And so each of these forms that you see on our shrine are symbolic of an individual's liberation and development and ripening of their qualities. And those qualities are what you see in the beauty that's portrayed in the images. And but it all points back to our own heart and mind. So we all want to be better people. Bottom line, we know we would like to be better people. And in our heart of hearts, we actually sort of know that we can do it. But we need help and we need encouragement. And so that is the function of all of the practices of Buddhism, but most especially the practice of mantra. So first and foremost, we all want to be better people, but we're not sure how. We don't have the methods. And secondly, we know that enlightenment is a thing that we can practice toward and perhaps even attain, that Buddhahood is something, but we don't know how to relate to it, because relating to Buddhahood is like trying to relate to space. How do you relate to something like that? And this is where mantra practice also helps us. It literally puts a face on enlightenment. And that face is a human face. And that face could be our face. So it literally puts a face on Buddhahood so that we can relate to it. And so whether we look at it as symbolism or as something that's actually attainable, to me, these are key parts of the practice of mantra. And each one of the enlightened beings depicted on our shrine represents a specific aspiration. And that aspiration was said to have been the aspiration of the ordinary being in most cases. The ordinary being in most cases who made an aspiration to become a Buddha and made it so that they could accomplish some benefit, specific benefit for others. Medicine Buddha aspired to be a healer. Chenrezig aspired to be the compassionate shepherd of all sentient beings. Basically, when he took the bodhisattva vow vowing to become a Buddha, he said, I want to be the last person remaining in samsara to turn out the light after I have ushered all beings to liberation. Tara, she aspired to relieve fear and to clear away obstacles. And white Tara, the emanation of green Tara, is said to be related to health and longevity. So there are 21 different forms of Tara, but we only do the sadhanas of 2 of them. Now, I've heard that His Holiness 17th Karmapa has recently written yet another Tara sadhana called the 4 mandala practice of Tara. And so that's probably in our future somewhere. But for now, we practice the mantra and visualization of 2 forms of Tara, green Tara and white Tara. Those of you who are familiar with this book, The Wish-Fulfilling Wheel by Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche, have read perhaps about Tara before and know that the founder of our center, Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche, had a special connection with Tara in that he had been under he had an intuition. He had been under the impression and had an intuition that he would die young-ish. He thought he would only live to be 60 years of age. And this was what the thought was that he had in his mind. It sort of was intuitive. He had that sense. And his nephew, Lama Karma Drodal, told me not too long ago that it is a custom among Tibetans to try to aim for a big age. So obviously this got in the way of that. So when he got close to that age, he did actually begin to have health problems. And one of the great masters of the lineage who was living at that time, Kalu Rinpoche, encouraged him to practice White Tara to increase his longevity. And Rinpoche did the practice. He had some obstacles in doing it, but he did a lengthy multi-week Tara retreat. And apparently it worked because he lived to be 95 years old. And so he always did a practice of White Tara on a regular basis after that to maintain his connection with the bodhisattva who he felt blessed him to have a longer life. Now, what does this mean for us? Well, for us, it's an inspiring story. And for us, it's an inspiration to want to practice this, want to do this practice ourselves. There are a number of White Tara texts that have been written in all four traditions of Tibetan Buddhism. But the two with which we are most familiar in this lineage, this Karma Kagyu lineage of Tibetan Buddhism, are the texts written by the Taisitu Rinpoche and the text written by Jamgon Khantrul the Great in the 19th century. So both of these texts are well known, and those are the ones we teach and learn in this tradition. And so the visualization text that Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche put together for us, the name of the book is The Wish-Fulfilling Wheel. He said it covers both texts, so that's good to know. And if we diagram and outline what a mantra practice does, a mantra practice allows us to use our body, our speech, and our mind in ways that are healthy, spiritual, and transformative. Right now, our body, speech, and mind is engaged in a lot of things, some of which are helpful, some of which are harmful, but all of which accumulates karma and habit. So we're always accumulating karma and always accumulating habits with our body, speech, and mind. And this is why mantra practice uses our body, speech, and mind to accomplish something different than worldly things. Most of the things we do in worldly life are all about me, myself, and I. And it strengthens, in some ways, ego fixation. And the strengthening of ego fixation feeds right into the Buddha's teaching on the causes of suffering. The Buddha's Four Noble Truths: suffering is part of life, suffering has a cause, suffering has a solution, and there's a path that leads us out of suffering. The second one of these says that the cause of suffering is clinging and fixation to people, things, situations, whatever. And the thing we seem to cling to the most is our sense of me, I, or self. And as one of my teachers, Taisitu Rinpoche, the current Taisitu Rinpoche, who wrote the text we're going to be reviewing today, he said, we take the biggest thing in the world, which is our mind, which is described in Mahamudra meditation texts as being emptiness and luminosity united, or empty luminosity, or empty clarity, empty radiance, and so forth. He said, we take this biggest thing, this limitless mind that has no color, shape, location, beginning or end. And we cram it down into this very small package that we then call me. And he said, we're in this thing and we're a little claustrophobic. He didn't use that word, but he said we're very self-focused. And the practices of mantra help us to break out of that by encouraging us to be involved with our body, our speech, and our mind. The body's involved not just by sitting and reading a text, but we visualize our body as being made of light and looking exactly like the bodhisattva or the Buddha that we're practicing. This is a subtle and symbolic way to relate to our Buddha nature, put a face on our Buddha nature, put a face on and encourage ourselves that we too could attain enlightenment someday. So by visualizing ourselves as a Buddha or Bodhisattva, we sort of break our fixation on this ordinary body that we have so much clinging to, like, oh, another gray hair, or whatever whatever kind of thing we come up with to like or dislike ourselves. So what we do then is we set that aside and visualize ourselves being made of light. And instead of the yada, yada, yada of our speech, we say mantras, which are generally names of variations on the names of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. The Tara mantra that we learned in the Green Tara practice, Om Tare, Tu Tare, Ture Soha, is is a variation on her name. And it's a variation on her name and her epithets. The swift one without fear. So the Om Tare, Tu Tare, Ture Soha mantra refers to that. And by reciting this, we replace our mundane yada, yada, yada speech that usually just accumulates karma and habit, and we turn it into something beyond that. Just as we unite our body with the idea of form and emptiness through our mantra meditation. We unite the mind and body as form and emptiness. So with speech, we unite sound and emptiness. And then finally, through the meditation itself, particularly if we rest our attention on a sacred object, in this case, the visualization of the bodhisattva, and specifically the visualization of the seed syllable, which is said to be really small, like smaller than your thumb, in the heart. And that's a way of relating to the nature of our mind symbolically through the seed syllable. The seed syllable is said to be shorthand for the entire Buddha or Bodhisattva. And it roughly is equivalent to human birth, which starts with a little baby in the womb and then results in a child. Well, we're just redoing our birth as a sacred being in this case. But we meditate on our form as having the form of Tara. And in our heart is Tara's mantra, along with symbols of her activity. And this little seed syllable in the mantra letters in the heart as a way of allowing us to absorb our mind in something other than our mundane habit and karmic thinking. So there we are. We have form and emptiness in the body, sound and emptiness in the speech, and thought and emptiness, or awareness and emptiness in the mind. And in this way, we gradually accumulate. At first, it's very deliberative and very conceptual. But eventually, Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche told us that if we meditate on the forms and sounds and mantras and so forth of the deities, that eventually we will begin to manifest those qualities in ourselves. Because habit and karma can also be used to do good things for us, not just bad things. It can also do good things for us. And then gradually, as we work with these forms and mantras and so on, we develop more of the qualities of those Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in a subtle, unspoken way. And so that's the why and wherefore of mantra meditation. Now, I have a little housekeeping to do here today. And that is that I just realized that I did not print out copies of the outline. Do you folks have your, did you print out and bring with you today any of the materials? If you didn't, that's okay. I just, if you did, you can get them out. And then that'll tell me how many I need to print. Sound like a plan? There are two things. Well, wait a minute. Let's see. Yeah, we have a page, so you guys can see it. We have a page of pictures, and then we have a document that I just realized is not on my desktop, so I have to get it on my desktop. That is an outline for the White Tara practice, because I worked on it last night, because I updated it last night. So this will be a little bit of housekeeping. That'll be the sadhana text. Yeah, that's the sadhana text. Yeah. Some people will also, yeah, that's a good point. And I don't have a paper sadhana text to show you, but some people will have printed out an 8.5 by 11 prayer text with a picture of White Tara on the cover. We will be here using, I need to get a set of those made, but we'll be using the pages, which may make things a little complicated for us, but we'll do our best. And I am looking for that now. Uh-oh. Okay. It's going to take a minute. Okay. Meanwhile, if someone could do me a favor and hand these, does anybody need a prayer text? Yeah, if you could hand these out to people, because I need to keep one here. Okay. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Okay. And then I think it would probably also be useful to hand out the refuge and bodhicitta sheets that we use for the Dharma talks on Sunday. If somebody could help with that, that would be super. So where do they separate? Oh, yeah, that one's kind of funky, isn't it? That one? Okay. Let's take a look. Yeah, I'll keep that one. This one's put together. Yeah, appreciate that. Those. Yeah. So let's see. I need to see. So Don, I have a PDF is the form, or is JPEG the form you need? JPEG is the form you need. Okay, well we're gonna make that happen for you. Thank you. Anybody else? Oh, fantastic. I love it when a plan comes together. I'll drop that over to you. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so wild. Okay. Let's try that. Okay. Okay, good. Took me a minute. I wonder if I can airdrop that to you. And we're going to give it a shot. Let's see if you're there. You're not discoverable from here, so I'm too far from you. Okay, so I can send it by I could send it to, how can I send it to you? Okay, that's perfect. Okay, yeah. Okay. Sorry for the delay. I'm going to send you two illustration sheets. One will be, one is labeled 1 and the other is labeled 2. And you'll get that in a minute. Okay, let's see if that now. Okay, oh yes, and here's the other one. Okay, I was having a problem finding it. Here we go. I found your MacBook Air. So I'm going to try to send the second one to you. Actually, the first one. You know what I'm saying? You see it yet? I tell you what, modern technology, right? Did you get it? Okay, great. And is it have many images on it? Is it okay? Then that's the one I was sending you. So you did get that. The other one will come to you through email. It'll be in. Okay, very good. All right, so we're all set. That's one in a row. Okay, so we're going to start. We're going to formally start the teaching now. Part of the reason that I waited to do this part is because there was a minor misunderstanding about the start time. Some people thought it was 10, some people thought it was 9:30, and that includes me. Whoops. So but it's stated as 9:30 in the publicity, so I'm okay. So we're going to start with reciting the refuge prayer so that the teaching that we review today will help us on the path to Buddhahood. When we state this at the beginning of any activity, it helps us to think that everything that follows it is going to be virtuous and help us toward Buddhahood. So we'll recite it 2 times in English, and the final time we'll read it in Tibetan. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the assembly most excellent, I take refuge until I reach enlightenment. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I achieve enlightenment for the sake of all beings. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the assembly most excellent, I take refuge until I reach enlightenment. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I achieve enlightenment for the sake of all beings. Now we'll recite it in Tibetan. O Sanjay Chudan Soji Chonamla Jangchu Pardu Dani Kyapsuchi Daji Jinso Jibe Sunamki Drola Penchir Sanjay Druparsho. Okay. O Palden Sawe Lama Rinpoche Tagi Chiwar Pede Den Shula Kadrin Jembo Gane Je Sunte Kusum Tuging Udrup Sal to Soul. Okay, thank you. Okay, and I just realized that I didn't print out the outline for folks, so I have to do that now. I ran out of paper at home. Let's go in here and take a look in here. Here we go. And I will print this, I think. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, here we go. I'll tell you what, it is great when you can do things like this with outlines and such. Make them usable and findable in all kinds of ways. How many people need the outline? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Did you need one? Yeah, it's essential. There's a few little differences in it, so I'll make several. Okay. We will get that done. And that way, and then I can introduce a couple more things while they're being printed. Okay, here we go. All right. So, so in any case, in general, mantra practices, which we call sadhanas, after the name for it in prayer texts in Sanskrit, sadhana practices generally follow a pattern. And the pattern is something like this. It starts with refuge, taking refuge and engendering bodhicitta, so that the practice leads us toward awakening. Then sometimes there will be a lineage supplication at the beginning, supplicating and praying to all of the masters of the lineage of that practice for their blessings so that our practice goes well. Next, there will be some visualization of the Buddha or bodhisattva of the practice. And that will be next. Sometimes the Buddha or bodhisattva is above our head. Sometimes it's visualized as being in front of us. But all of our visualizations are seen as being made of light and empty inside. And again, this is to symbolize the empty and luminous nature of mind. The empty and luminous nature of mind is reflected in that. And then we often will make offerings, or we will invite the real deities from their pure realms, because we may have a doubt that the deity that we visualized in front of us is real or not. And so to counteract our doubt, we visualize that the real deities come from their pure realms and merge with the ones we've visualized. And then there may even be yet another step in which we imagine that the 5 male and female Buddhas of the 5 Buddha families, which symbolize the transformation of all of our mental afflictions into wisdom, they come, and then we visualize them filling the visualized image with wisdom nectar, empowering it. And so this type of pattern occurs in many sadhanas, sometimes in a slightly different order. Sometimes parts of that are omitted, but it's generally the idea is that we visualize that we're in the presence of an enlightened being. Eventually, we make offerings to and supplicate that enlightened being. They bless us and we become them, made of light, looking like them, having their attributes. And then we recite their mantra, trying on for size, as it were, being a Buddha and what that must be like. And then at the conclusion of the mantra recitation, sometimes there are even more offerings. And then at the very, very end, we dissolve the dissolution phase, we dissolve the visualized images into ourselves, and then we dissolve ourselves as the Buddha or Bodhisattva of practice. We dissolve ourselves into utter emptiness and rest our mind in that. And then at the conclusion of that, we re-arise as the Buddha or Bodhisattva of that practice, made of light, having their attributes. Then we dedicate the merit of the practice, which is customary. And then we can get up and go walking around as a Buddha or Bodhisattva in disguise. I tell people it's fun. I remember working at my newspaper job, and we were doing then the main mantra practice we did here at KTC was Chenrezig, the Bodhisattva of compassion. And I had pencils made for myself that said Om Mani Padme Hum, which is the mantra of Chenrezig. So I'm sitting there in a press conference with the mayor of my small town, and I'm looking at that pencil, and I'm like, I'm in disguise. I'm a bodhisattva in disguise here in this press conference. But you can do that when you're taking care of the kids, washing the dishes, doing whatever you do. You can think about and renew your experience of yourself as that Buddha or Bodhisattva. In order to do practices like this, it's generally a good idea to get 3 permission blessings. The empowerment from a Lama who has done a lot of that practice. The Lama ritually purifies your body, speech, and mind, and then bestows upon you the body, speech, and mind of that Buddha or Bodhisattva by blessing your head and sometimes pouring water in your hands and things like this to purify and bless you as that Buddha or Bodhisattva. Basically, they introduce you, and now you can be friends. So that's called the empowerment. That's the first of the 3 permission blessings. The second is the reading transmission. And through the reading transmission, the lineage of a specific prayer text of that Buddha is read to you, sometimes very quickly, as a blessing, so that the blessing of that text comes from that author to their students, their students, their students, and their students until you receive it. So you have in your being the lineage, the entire lineage of that practice and the practice itself. And the idea is that it blesses you so that you can study the text and come to understand its meaning. And finally, the third permission blessing is the practical instruction, where you learn how to visualize and chant and so on. And of the 3 parts, the part I'm giving today will be the practical instructions, just so you know. Because this text is quite long, it's a little difficult to give the reading transmission. So I decided against doing that, although it would have been great if I could have, but I wanted to focus today on the visualizations and the chanting and the prayers. So if someone could do me a favor, Chelsea, could you go look at the printer and see if we've got outlines to give people? And we may also need the stapler. You may ask, why didn't I do that when I arrived here? And the answer was, I forgot. One of these days, man, enlightenment will happen for me. But in the meantime, we're going to have to rely on computers. All right, very good. Okay. Little by little, it all comes together, right? So now I have something else to hand out. Would you want to assist? Oh, your leg is okay. So yeah, no problem. Oh yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. Thank you. Yeah, I'm like, what? Oh, you know what? I better give you all of these because I'm not sure. If there's any left, bring it back. Yeah. Yeah. Because the first thing I want to go over is the first thing I'd like to go over is the image of Tara herself. And I think that will be on the illustration, the first illustration sheet. the one that I'm handing out right now. And we'll talk about the symbolism of Tara. Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah. A color version will be passed out. And could you hand this to, oh, I'm sorry. Could you hand this to Chelsea? Thank you. Oh, yeah. We have a couple of different images that were color images that we're just going to pass around so you can see them. Yeah. Yes. Anybody who needs an outline, Chelsea's got them. Yep. And then we're going to spend the rest of our time. Yeah, I figured. Yeah. Yeah, I see. Tell you what, somebody's asking if these are online, and the answer is yes. Let me get that for you. I'll see if I can get those put into the chat for you. It'll take a minute. People at home who are joining by Zoom want to know if we can put the Okay, yeah, oh yeah, sure. Just one moment. Yeah, good thinking. Oh, do you want me to print one more? Yeah, okay, you got to print one more coming up. Okay, here we go. Boop, boop, doo, doo, doo. Okay, yeah, I'm running it through the printer now. There'll be two because you never know. Yes, let's see. Yeah, I found out that there was an error in the link for this that was sent through Eventbrite yesterday. There's one non-working link and it's this one for this outline. I just discovered this. So I'm copying that link now and I will put it in chat for you. Oop, got to return. Okay, got to grab my Zoom window. Here we go. Now that's the outline. And then the other thing I need to send you is the illustration sheet. It'll take me a moment. And here comes the image sheet. Okay, those are the two main ones that we have for today. It will be this and then the outline. So thanks for asking about that because you can also look in the email that you receive from Eventbrite. All of the links to everything will be in that email, but there is a wrong one. There's a broken link and it's the link to the outline. I just discovered that. So my bad. So let's look at this image of Tara. She's described as being youthful and having a pleasant face. And she's wearing silks and jewels. There are 13 different types of silks that she's wearing and jewelry that she's wearing. She's wearing a crown with 5 jewels in it, symbolizing the 5 wisdoms. If you remember the 5 wisdoms of the 5 Buddhas, which are the transformation of the 5 mental afflictions. Here's the good news about Buddha nature. We all have it. And when we misunderstand it, we produce mental afflictions like ignorance, attachment, aversion, pride, and jealousy. Those are the 5 mental afflictions that are overturned when we become Buddhas and awakened Buddhas. And it is symbolized by 5 Buddha families, and that the 5 gems of the crown are symbolize the 5 wisdoms that all enlightened beings possess. Of course, they have endless wisdom, but they enumerate it as 5. Then she has her right hand open on her knee. That's called the gesture of supreme generosity, because she's loving and giving completely to all beings. She has she's wearing 3 sets of necklaces, armlets, bracelets, anklets, a belt with little tinkling bells hanging from it. She's wearing leggings, a skirt, and a blouse. And she has in her left hand, in the gesture of giving refuge, holding the stem of a lotus flower that blooms right next to her ear, which is symbolic of the bodhisattva who lives in this world but is not stained by it. That's also the symbolism behind the lotus flower that she sits upon, which symbolizes loving kindness, and the moon disk on top of that, which symbolizes compassion. Now, you may say, why does she have extra eyes? She has, as a matter of fact, she has 7 wisdom eyes altogether. She has the 2 that we all are familiar with, and that she has an extra eye in the center of her forehead, and then the palms of her hands and the soles of her feet. And the symbolism is that it symbolizes, let me get page 44. Okay. I'll read it straight from Khenpo Rinpoche's book, The Wish-Fulfilling Wheel, which is kind of nice. He said that the 7 eyes that she has, he says, I've heard many explanations, and it is said that the 7 eyes represent the fact that she gazes compassionately on the beings in the 7 situations and brings them to liberation. That means, beings who are in the different realms of pain and suffering and samsara. And he said the eyes and the soles of her feet represent the fact that she gazes compassionately on the beings in the 2 lowest realms, the hell realm and the hungry ghost realm. With the eyes in the palms of her hands, she gazes compassionately upon animals and what they call demigods. With the 2 usual eyes, she gazes compassionately upon humans and devas. And with the 3rd eye in her forehead, she gazes compassionately upon beings who have achieved cessation, the state of the arhat, who have not yet attained full Buddhahood. Elsewhere, it has been explained that the 3 eyes on her face represent the inseparability of the 3 bodies of the Buddha, which are primordially pure and not subject to defilement. Then the 4 eyes on the palms of her hands and the soles of her feet symbolize the 4 immeasurables: joy, compassion, love, and equanimity. So whatever it is, this is the symbolism behind her form. When she's visualized as being made of light. And so this is the form with which we will use both as a front visualization and as a visualization of ourselves. Now, some people say, well, I can't visualize. And the answer is yes, I understand, because this is new for us. This is not something that we've been trained to do. Unless, of course, we're athletes and have been trained to visualize ourselves completing the task of our sport. Or if we have been involved in medical treatment when we've been taught to visualize the medicines as combating our illness and things like this. Sometimes in psychology, people are asked to visualize themselves working through or walking through a scary experience in order to overcome the fear. So we use visualization in several different areas, but not every day. And so it's new to us. My teacher, Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche, said you can look at an image like this and take like 1 to 2 to 3 minutes to start at the top of the head and just look at all of the facets and make notes and mental notes of each of the parts of the body as you work down through the face and the shoulders, the torso, the legs, the arms, the hands, the moon disc and the lotus flower, and then back up again. Lotus flower, moon disc, legs, torso, shoulders, hands, arms, face, head, and so forth. And he said, if you do that, noting those things, he said, then you can close your eyes and attempt to draw the image in your mind, starting at the top, going to the bottom, and then back up again. And he said, this is a way that you can gradually train yourself to visualize the form of a Buddha or Bodhisattva. Trungpa Rinpoche said something very helpful once. He said, well, he said, it won't be perfect. So don't hold yourself to that standard, because he said visualization is only as good as your shamatha, meaning your calm abiding meditation. You know, the meditation we do all the time, where I call it breath awareness meditation, where we bring our attention back to the breath over and over again as a way of training our mind. He said, if your shamatha meditation is good, your visualization should come a little more quickly. He said, but if your shamatha meditation is not so good, then it'll take a little longer. But the fact of the matter is, my teacher also told me that visualization is a form of shamatha. So one will help the other in the end. So that's a little bit about the symbolism of Tara. So let's look at the text. The text that we have, if you have the Pecha text in front of you, it has a separate prayer that we won't be covering today, which is the prayer of the 8 noble auspicious ones, or the Tashi prayer. We have it as part of the packet because it's recited every morning here on Sunday mornings before the first puja of the day. Then you'll come upon a text with the title, A White Tara Sadhana by Kunkyan Tai Situ Tenpe Nyingje. And those of you who have the 8.5 by 11, it will be the text that begins with the, excuse me here, I gotta get this, yeah. The words Om Svasti. And then the first part of the text is not recited. It's just a little capsule history of how this text came about. And then it says, it begins with the lineage supplication for the daily practice of white Tara. You'll see that in the small print at the start of the text. And it starts with the words Namo Guru Arya Tara Ye. Is everybody on the page? Okay, Namo Guru Arya Tara Ye. It'll be on page 3 of the Pecha text, if you have it there. It'll be on the first line, Namo Guru Arya Tara Ye. Okay, good. Everybody there? Awesome. So then you see a list of names, and this is generally how lineage supplications roll. They start with the Buddha or Bodhisattva, him or herself, and then continue with the names of all the masters of the lineage. Tara herself, and Ngawang Drakpa, Serlingpa, the great master who gave the Lojong practice to Atisha, Jooj, which is another name for Atisha, Drumtompa, his disciple, and so forth. And then maybe in about the second or third of the lines of text, it says, Mahasiddha Karmapakshi, at your feet I supplicate. So then it just continues to give names, groups of names, and say, at your feet I supplicate, and so on. And so as you keep reading through it, you'll see, eventually you will see the phrase Sagyu, Tsagyu, Lama. And that'll be on the pages on page 4, and on the 8.5 by 11. I'm going to have to get you guys set up on a different page so that I can tell you what page you're on. Hey, I'll tell you what, does anybody have yeah, you have that? Can you tell me what page, you get to the line that starts Sa Ju Lama Kun Ngo Jetuma? Okay, okay. Then we'll have to skip the 8.5 by 11 for now because we don't have, I have one somewhere on my desktop, but I cannot find it right now. So maybe when we take our break, I'll find it and then I'll be able to do a concordance. It says Saju Lama. But the other thing I could do is I could just read through the English, but that takes a lot. That takes a while. Homage to, well, we'll just start at the beginning and I'll read it in English and then you'll know where you are. Homage to the Lama, noble Tara, Tara Ngangwan Drapa, the powerful Sir Lingpa, Jowo Je, Drumtompa, Chenga, Drepa, Dakpo Galaje, Dusum Chempa, Dragon Rinchen, Pondrapa, Mahasiddhik Karmapakshi, at your feet I supplicate, Ojimpa, Ranjan Dorje, Jewa Yuntun, Rope Dorje, Kachu Wangpo, Dejin Shepa, Rape Rikpe Reldri, Tongwa Dondon, Pengar Jampo Zampo, Goshrid, Peljo Dundu, Choda Jatso, at your feet I supplicate. Sanjay Nyimpa, Mikyo Dorje Kuncho Bang, Wangcho Dorje, Chuki Wangcho, Namdak Sen, Karma Changme Dulmo Chuje Pelcho, Chuki Dundru, Tai Situ, Tenpe Ningje, I supplicate you. Dudu Dorje, Pema Ningje Wangpo, Teja Dorje, Pemo Garwang Sel, Kakyap Dorje, Pema Wangchuk Gel, Chenze Uzer Ripe Dorje, and then it says root Lama and all lineage Lamas to whom Tara has manifested and who hold the traditions of the direct oral transmission, which matures and liberates the holders of the 6 lineages, I supplicate. Perfecting the stages of visualization, mantra, and completion, you attain the supreme Vajra body of deathless immortal wisdom. Bless us that we become inseparable from the mother of all the victorious ones, the wish-fulfilling wheel, meaning Tara, and that we spontaneously accomplish the 2 benefits, the benefit of liberating oneself from suffering and the benefit of liberating others. Now, are the people who are in this room with the 8.5 by 11, were you able to keep up? Are everybody good? Okay, excellent. Phew. Okay, that's a relief. So then there's one other thing I'd like to explain, and that is the line that says, perfecting the stages of visualization, mantra, and completion. Creation and completion is a topic name, or we'll call it a genre. Creation and completion is a genre of Tibetan Buddhist literature that uses mantra and visualization to accomplish the qualities and the wisdom of Buddhahood. It's called creation or development stage meditation in that we create and develop a visualization. So that's the creation stage where we use our mind's faculties to create a world, a pure realm that we then inhabit briefly for the purpose of the practice. That's the creation phase. And that goes all the way through to the offerings and the supplications and the blessings and the mantra. The dissolution is that I spoke about earlier is called the completion phase, where the practice is completed by dissolving all of the elements that we visualized into ourselves and then into emptiness, where we then rest. Showing ourselves momentarily the true nature of our minds, just for a moment, which is empty luminosity. We see our minds. They call it naked awareness, unelaborate. And that's why it says through this visualization, mantra, and completion, we attain the stages of awakening. So then that leads us to the next part of the text. So we've done the supplication to the masters of the lineage. Now we're going to take refuge. For a moment here, I have to look at my outline. Okay. Oh, good. I found my text. Oh, lovely. And of course, the pages are numbered. It is on page 4. All right. Son of the 8.5 by 11. Sanjay Chidon Sochi Chonamla. Right, you see that? And it says, in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I take refuge until enlightenment. Through the merit of practicing generosity and other paramitas, may I attain enlightenment for the benefit of all beings. Now, the visualization for this, hang on, is as follows. Hang on. Okay, so there is no set visualization for going for refuge, but you could imagine that Tara is in front of you and that you're taking refuge in her and all enlightened beings, and that you're generating for the benefit of yourself and others. You're generating the bodhisattva mind so that you're doing this practice not just for yourself, but for all beings. Then the next thing you recite is the prayer of the 4 immeasurables. Semchen Tamche Dewatang, that one. May all beings have happiness and the cause of happiness. May all beings be free of suffering and the cause of suffering. May they never be separated from genuine happiness beyond suffering. May they remain in great equanimity beyond near and far attachment and aversion. And then it begins, then the next line reads, Om Shunyata Jana Benza Swabhava Emako Ham. And the meaning of this is that through the recitation of this mantra, we remind ourselves of the empty nature of all things, the empty and luminous nature of all things, and then and that we also are empty luminosity. So that's the function of the Om Shunyata Jana Benza Swabhava Etmako Ham. Some people may say, but what is that the same as the Om Swabhava Shuddha Sarva Dharma Swabhava Shuddha Hom and other practices? And the answer is yes. It's just different words saying the same things. It's reminding us of emptiness. And so for a moment, we can say this mantra and then rest in that understanding that all things are empty and luminous. All things are emptiness, and so am I. That's like that. And then from emptiness, the first visualization arises from that emptiness. And you'll see it says, thus purify. Then it says, Tongpe Nanle Lama, I'm sorry, Tongpe Nanle Machu Pe Semnang Hungi. So it says, out of emptiness arises the unconditioned mind, the resonant sound of Hung filling all space. One of the symbolisms of the Hung syllable is the primordial wisdom. And then from that, gives rise, that Hung syllable gives rise to a beautiful pure realm that is surrounded, that has they call it the Vajra ground. And what this means is that there is a crossed or double dorje on the center of the floor as though it was inset, each of the parts of the Vajra and the center of the Vajra symbolizing, again, the 5 wisdoms. And so then it says it has a 3-staged Vajra wall and around it. So this means we're sitting in protected ground because we're in the center of this. So there's the Vajra ground is underneath us. And then at the round perimeter of this Vajra enclosure are standing Vajras that act as a fence. And then Vajras that are then laid sideways, almost like our roof. We were thinking of that actually, but anyway, and they're interlocking Vajras. And then there's actually like a little cupola on the top of it, just like here. And it's covered with a dome of interlocking vajras, sounding pretty safe. Sounds like we have a pretty safe environment in our pure realm for us to practice in. And he said, and this is, I'm going to read to you Khenpo Rinpoche's description from page 40 of the Wish Fulfilling Wheel, where he says, the domed ceiling is adorned with a Vajra canopy, which hangs below it, somewhat like a lowered ceiling, which is shaped like the spherical shelter on top of a tent. This is entirely composed of Vajras as well. And then he said, coming from the very apex of that roof is a Vajra poking out. And there's a small tongue of flame above it that then ignites flames all around the outside of the Vajra enclosure. Feeling safe? Feels pretty good. Rinpoche says, the circle of protection that we visualize is composed of Vajras, which symbolize indestructibility. In order to bring the recollection of indestructibility, the shape of a Vajra represents indestructibility. And you'll see the double Vajra is indicated on the illustration sheet. And also the picture of the Vajra is also on the illustration sheet. And it says, the shape of the Vajra represents indestructibility, something that is so tough, so hard, it can't be disturbed. It cannot be cut, destroyed, or moved. Often the word diamond is associated with this because only a diamond can cut a diamond, for example. It is stable, permanent, and immeasurably tough. While visualizing the Vajras as looking like the scepters that we use, remember that this is just symbolic. Indestructibility here does not mean something physical that is indestructible. It means the indestructibility of our basic nature, our Buddha nature, which is so strong, so immovable, and so indestructible that no force in nature or anywhere else could ever disturb it to even the slightest degree. See, this is very meaningful to us because a lot of the times we look at ourselves and we say, I'm a little messed up. I've got problems. I've got faults. I've got failings. I've got difficulties. I've got obscurations. I've got obstacles. And we don't think that beneath all of that, there's the purity of Buddha nature. And so the remembering of emptiness through Om, and now I'm going to use the wrong one, Om Jhana, Shunyata Jhana Benza Sabhava Etmiko Hom. Through remembering that mantra, we remember emptiness, the basic nature. Then we see the protection circle that comes about because of that. And then we realize that we are all of that. We are the Vajra ground, we are the Vajra fence, we are the tent, we are the fire. We are all of that because that is representative of our basic indestructible wisdom and goodness. And it's just taking this shape as a skillful means to help us cultivate the idea of awakening and to cultivate the idea that we do possess the potential for awakening and the qualities that come from it. So this is all like the qualities of awakening manifesting as a visualized image of a safe place. He says the Vajra tent and fence are encircled by a blazing fire of 5 colors. He said if you were to look at it as outside, you would see a hemisphere of multicolored fire. The flames move in a circular clockwise direction. It is an impenetrable environment free of obstacles. It is inconceivable, vast, and spacious. You can make it as big as your imagination. It's huge. And then he says in the center, on page 41, he says, in the center of the circle of protection appears the syllable drung, and you'll see this in the text. It says, in the middle of the massive blazing fire, the syllable drum becomes an immeasurable palace of water moon crystal, which is like translucent. In its center appears the syllable palm, which you can see all of these syllables are on the illustration sheet, which then becomes a lotus flower, the open lotus flower. And then above this, the syllable becomes the moon. On it, my mind, the white tom syllable, becomes a white utpala flower, which is like the one held in Tara's hand, marked with the letter Tam. So now we have not just this vast protection circle and palace. We have a palace. Inside the palace, then the seed. Then we have the lotus that's going to be underneath us is Tara. The moon disk on top of that, and then the hong syllable, which is the basic nature of our mind. And then it transforms into, I said hong, I meant Tom, my bad. It transforms into a lotus flower with Tom on it. Lights come upward and outward from that Tom in the center of that syllable. It comes from that and goes up to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and makes offerings. They send their blessings back. And then lights go outward and down to benefit all suffering beings in all the realms. And then the lights are withdrawn into the Tam syllable again, and we then arise on that lotus and moon as Tara. We become white Tara in that moment. Some people ask, well, what's with the emanating of lights to make offerings and the radiating of lights to benefit beings? And this is because these are the two things, the two qualities of enlightened beings. You know, we honor that which is above and we benefit that which is below. The idea that we're sort of wish-fulfilling gems for sentient beings, and that we want to benefit every being we encounter. So the idea is that a bodhisattva arises from this wisdom and activity. So it's like that. So in any case, hang on here. Kim Rinpoche goes into incredible detail on page 41, which is a little more than we have time for, about the palace and what it looks like. So those of you who are following in Wish Fulfilling Wheel, we are now on page 42. It says, and it says, it talks a little bit more about the what we just described. So that's all described that I just described is on page 42. Then it describes her form as being, beautiful and so on. And that takes us, if you follow in the book, that we go more or less to, let's see here. Yeah, he continues talking about her appearance for several pages, just how arrestingly beautiful she is. I mean, it's amazing. And she has as her backrest a beautiful disk of the moon. And this takes us all the way to page 48 of Wish Fulfilling Wheel. My goodness, she is beautiful. She's several pages worth of beautiful. The idea about talking about the symbolism of her beauty, which I just can't get into because it's so detailed. It's just so detailed that I think it's because the bodhisattva who achieves awakening is like that wish-fulfilling jewel and can be whatever beings need them to be. And the beauty is symbolic of the goodness and wisdom that they possess. Okay, let's see here. Then, in continuing in the text, this takes us to those of you who are in the Pecha. We have moved through the descriptions on page 7 and page 8, and on to page 9. Those of you who are in the 8.5 by 11, we are now on page 10 of the 8.5 by 11. So she's been described in this amazing way. Now, everybody feel like you're at the place on page 10, the first of the 8.5 by 11. You'll see on the top line it says De Trel War Om Karpo, and in page 9, center line, last phrase of the page of text, you'll see that she has a white Om on her forehead, a red Ah at her throat, and a blue Hung below her heart. In the center of her heart, on the lotus and moon disk, is a white Tam syllable. So what's happening here is, do you remember I said that there were a number of phases to a sadhana practice, a visualization practice, where we visualize the deity and then we see that deity as calling to the real Buddhas and bodhisattvas to come and be present. And the way they're called, it's sort of like those signals in superhero comic books, signals that go into the sky asking for the heroes to come and help. Well, it's like that. The form of the Tara that's in front of us has a white Om syllable behind, just inside the forehead, a red Ah syllable just inside the heart, and a blue Hung syllable just inside inside the red Ah is inside the throat. The blue Hung is inside the heart. And there's also a white Tam syllable inside and slightly below the Hung. And the white Tam syllable is in the center of the body of the Tara, where the others are nearer to the front, according to the way Lama Tashi teaches this. Now, if you can't see Tibetan syllables and it's all a little bit too complicated, you can just see lights of those colors coming forth from the forehead, throat, and heart. White from the forehead, red from the throat, and blue from the heart, and white from the Tam below. Then it radiates lights and invokes from her natural place, the wisdom aspect of Tara, similar to the self-meditation. Because remember now, we have a self-visualization of ourself as Tara. We are the Tara here. I may have said she's in front. I apologize. Because we arise as Tara in this visualization. I mentioned it tangentially, but not directly. So instead of Tara being in front of us, which is what happens in the green Tara sadhana at the beginning, we are Tara. So you could say we're cutting out the middle person here. And so from our forehead, white light comes. From the heart, from the throat, red light comes. From the heart, blue light comes. And from the Tam, white light comes. Yes, you have a question? No, that's something different. We'll get to that later. Yeah, someone's asking about the illustration form, and why the syllables Om, Tam, and Ha are there. That's something that'll come later, and I have another illustration for that. So yeah, that comes later. Thanks. So now it says she has now come, and Benza Sama Za, you see that's in Tibetan. And that means that as a result of these lights coming out from our forehead, throat, and heart, the real Tara and her retinue of bodhisattvas and Buddhas come from her pure realm, and she is now with us. She's now in front of us. And so it says here let's see, hang on. Yeah, okay. When you recite, he says, this is, Khenpo Rinpoche is talking about this on page 49. He said, when you recite the mantra, Benza Sama Za, you do there's a mudra that we will teach when we do the ritual portion. We won't be teaching ritual today. We're just teaching visualizations today. But in part 2, White Tara part 2, we'll teach all the gestures. You do the appropriate mudra, inviting her to come from her pure realm. And then she actually does come. And she appears above you in the space in front of you, surrounded by her retinue. So the real Tara is now in front of you. You look like Tara, and she looks like Tara. And so from our heart as Tara, we emanate offering goddesses that then make offerings to the Tara who we've invited to be in front of us. And it says, Om Benza Argam Soha, Om Benza Padyam Soha. I offer her drinking water, bathing water, flowers, incense, light, perfumed water, food, and music. These are symbolic of the offerings that are made on our shrine, which are symbolic of the offerings to the senses. So it's something that humans find pleasant. Then, and so then it says, then we made the request that, hang on. Oh, I see. Then he goes into great detail about all the offering goddesses and wish fulfilling wheel. So we will need to skip that today. But then, because we don't have enough time for all of it, then at the end of this period of presenting offerings, he says, this will be on page 54 of Wish Fulfilling Wheel. He says, think that all of the offering goddesses dissolve back into your own heart after you've made all of these. Om Benza Argam Soha, Om Benza Padyamo Soha, and so on. And then I think that they all dissolve back into your heart. Then he says, through the auspiciousness and virtue of having made these offerings to the real Tara, the real Tara, sometimes called the wisdom deity or the wisdom Tara, dissolves into light and merges with you. In this way, the wisdom deity merges with you as the self-visualized deity, and they become inseparable. And that's the meaning of the mantra phrase, Za, Om, Bam, Ho. It basically means from top to bottom and side to side. We have merged inseparably. With the visualized, the real deity is merged with us. Then he says, Rinpoche says, Nisu Mepar Jur, which is the words that follow that, or Misu Mepar Tim, whichever. It says, it's like water being poured into water. He says the water is one substance and it cannot be separated. Although it cannot be separated, its volume has become greater. You as Tara have become more radiant than ever. It's like turning up a lamp so that it gives more light. Think that until enlightenment, the wisdom deity will never leave you and will always be with you. Having dissolved the wisdom deity into yourself as Tara, think, I have now actually become Tara. I possess all of Tara's qualities. Even though in your physical perception of your flesh and blood body has not literally disappeared, you stop attending to it as such, and you identify instead with this image of the visualized Tara. You regard yourself as possessing all of the attributes and characteristics of the deity. You look like her, have her mind, ornamentation, and so on. And so the next part, so that's the first part. Anybody here have questions about what we've covered so far? Is it coming together pretty well? Let's see if there's any questions on Zoom chat. Yes, yeah. The colors of light, the white, the red, and the blue, they're associated with the body, speech, and mind of the Buddha symbolically. But I can't say more than that because it's one of those things where when we were first taught these things in the 1970s and 1980s, we kind of like never asked. But eventually I came to understand them as these are being, because it's virtually the same in every single deity practice. The color white is associated with the Buddha's body, the color red with the speech, and the color blue with the heart. And there are nuances that you could talk about, but I'd rather get it from one of the lamas who has some more knowledge than I do on that. But thanks for asking. Any questions coming through on Zoom? No? Okay, great. So now, the next part of remember I said that these sadhanas have different parts. It's like a little drama, you know. Now the real deities have merged with the imagined ones, but now there will be an extra step. The five Buddha family representatives will come and empower us, so that we can feel that we truly are Tara. And so we're going to call them to come and give us an empowerment. So here it comes. As you can see, after this, it says, we dissolve inseparable. In the English, it says, then again, the light of the seed syllable, that's the Tam in our heart as Tara, radiates. Now it's just the Tam in the heart that's radiating, not the three lights from the body, speech, and mind centers. It's just the Tam. So from that Tam come lights, inviting the five empowerment deities and their retinues. These are the five male Buddhas and the five female Buddhas. And then we then again emanate offering goddesses. We are a one-stop shop. We have everything. And we emanate from our heart offering goddesses that then make offerings to the five Buddhas, five male Buddhas and the five female Buddhas who are arrayed in front of us in space. It says, I offer them drinking water, bathing water, flowers, incense, light, perfumed water, food, and music. And then we say the words, Sarva Tathagata Abhikensatu Ma, may all the Tathagatas, or the enlightened ones, bestow empowerment upon me. And then it says, thus, saying the water in the vase empowers, filling the body in purifying stains. Now, what this means is that the next phase of, how does this empowerment happen? How do we get the empowerment from the five male Buddhas and the five female Buddhas? Khenpo Rinpoche describes it like this. He said, the male Buddhas sit in meditation while the female Buddhas take up vases of wisdom nectar, and they pour, the female Buddhas pour wisdom, these five vases of wisdom nectar into the top of our head as Tara, so that we then become empowered by Tara. And then we fill up like with liquid, because remember, our form, we're Tara, we're empty and made of light. So this absolutely can happen. If we can visualize that we're empty and made of light, we can visualize wisdom nectar filling us and empowering us. Then Rinpoche talks about this in Wish Fulfilling Wheel. He says, hang on, then it says, oh yeah, the pouring of the nectar into the top of our head. This is on page 56 of Wish Fulfilling Wheel. He says at the bottom, he said, this refers to a miraculous event. You may wonder why a wisdom nectar. That took place immediately after the Buddha was born. When Prince Siddhartha was born, he came forth from his mother's side. His majesty and radiance were so great that no human being dared to touch him. Gods and goddesses appeared spontaneously and offered cleansing baths of celestial waters to the Buddha, dried his body with celestial silks, and offered him praises. Whenever empowerment is performed, this event is what they're referring to. What the empowerment deities are saying is that just as the Buddha was washed, so I wash you with this, the vase of empowerment. And so they pour this into our heads. Meanwhile, he says, there are, while the mother Buddhas do this, the male and female bodhisattvas express the auspiciousness of empowerment by casting rains of flowers upon us, dancing and singing praises. The male and female wrathful ones guard the perimeter, ensuring that no obstacle arises to interfere with the process of empowerment. As the 5 mother Buddhas are pouring the ambrosia from the 5 vases into the top of your head, you can visualize your body is filling up with pure nectar. And eventually, it fills your whole body, purifying any remaining obscurations you may have. The mother Buddhas continue to pour, and the excess overflows at the crown of your head as Tara and is transformed into the Buddha Amitabha, who is depicted also on the illustration sheet. He is red in color, dressed like a monk with a begging bowl and the 2 hands in his lap. He becomes the ornament of your crown, the crown of your head as Tara. He says, although the empowerment is bestowed by all 5 Buddha families, you are crowned with Amitabha, who is the Lord of the family to which Tara belongs, the Lotus family. Then it says, generally speaking, though, he embodies all 5 families for the purpose of this meditation. The empowerment having been completed, the male and female wrathful ones dissolve into the male and female bodhisattvas. They in turn dissolve into light and meld into the mother Buddhas, and then they dissolve into light and merge with the 5 male Buddhas, and then all of them dissolve into the Buddha Amitabha above the crown of your head. And he said that what's most important throughout the process of this empowerment is to let go of the identification of yourself with your ordinary flesh and blood body. And instead identify your mind with and instead of identifying yourself with this ordinariness, you attempt to relinquish this fixation and replace them with identification with the Buddha or Bodhisattva of the practice. As you advance in this practice, you will be able to appreciate its profundity more and more. You'll be able to see and experience it as skillful means, its skillful means, and so forth. At this point, he said, it's appropriate to think, I really am Tara. This is a state beyond everything in samsara and nirvana. So as we rejoin the text, you'll see this will be on in the middle of page 12 of the 8.5 by 11. And yes, indeed, it's in the middle of page 12 in the Pecha as well. That's kind of nice. Actually, it's on the last line of the Pecha. And it says, with the crowns of their heads, gods and demigods bow to your lotus feet. To the one who saves from all poverty, liberating mother, I prostrate and give praise. And what this means, he says, Rinpoche says, what that line is, he says the 8 main offering goddesses now gather together and offer that praise to you. And they said, then the reason that Tara is offered the highest respect is that she overcomes impoverishment or loss, but it means more than that. It refers to the experience of deprivation or misfortune. For those, which in the broadest sense can include basically everything we regard as suffering, whether it's material or spiritual. If you go to worldly gods, they can only protect you to a certain extent, but the awakened ones can protect you fully and completely. In contrast, Tara can liberate us from any and all misfortune or deprivation and bring us to a state of perfect enlightenment. Having completed the offerings and praises, the offering goddesses now dissolve back into your heart. In that way, your unification with the deity is complete. And so that concludes the aspect of the mantra recitation, the development stage. Now we're going on to the second part of the practice, which is mantra. And you'll see this here. It says, let's see. Hang on a second. You'll see on page, moving ahead to page 13 of the 8.5 by 11, and bottom of page 12, that's where you see the praises and so on. because you'll see the offerings, Omaria Tara Sapariwar Argam Soha Panjab Soha Pupe Soha Dupe Soha Aloke Gende Newade Shapta Ahom, and then the praise. Now finally, hang on. We move to page 14 of the 8.5 by 11, but it's on page 13 of the Pecha. In my heart, a lotus and moon on a lotus and moon disc is a white wheel with 8 spokes and a rim. In the center of this is Tam, the syllable Tam, and at the edge, from the front and arranged clockwise, are Om Mama Ayu Punye Jana Puktin Kuruha Sipjela. Then it says further in on the 8 spokes are Tare Tu Tare Ture So. Then it says Yige, or the letters, are vivid white like pearl beads and remain motionless. There's no thread between these beads. From them, it says, light radiates, making offerings to the victorious ones, their daughters and sons, and benefiting beings with increased longevity and so forth. The blessing of the noble ones, plus the vital essence of the cities or powers of all the world and beings of samsara and nirvana are collected in the form of light and absorbed into the seed, syllable, and mantra circles, thereby radiating brilliantly and majestically, they bestow the city of immortality. So now we're going to get down to the business of mantra recitation, and there's a visualization that goes with this. Let's see here. The way that this is described is that in our hearts as white Tara, at the level of the heart in the center of the body, is an open white lotus with 8 petals. And on top of that is the white disk of the moon. And then on top of that, lying flat, by the way, laying flat. You lay things, lying is what you do. Anyway, the laying flat on top of that is a wheel that looks like a ship's wheel. I apologize that it's not on the illustration sheet, but a copy of that will be sent to you so that you can kind of see it. I actually have it here and I will show it on camera. I have, if folks, you can take this. I'm sorry, I got some for this side, some for this side. Here, Matthew, would you? Yeah. I might be able to. I actually might be able to do that. Let's see if I can do it. Because it's a JPEG. It's not a JPEG, but I have to create it as such. So stand by. Yeah, I know. I've got to figure out what I did with it. Okay, yeah, I don't have it at this moment. Thank you. Yeah. So I'm going to have to show the ship's wheel on camera. Yeah. That's yes. I did. Fantastic. I'm such a lucky person. I'm luckier than I thought. This makes me feel incredibly lucky. Thank you. As like I joke around, my husband always says, that's 1 in a row. So this is the wheel, the wheel that is seen as lying flat. And, here it is on the camera, but it will also be on the Zoom illustration. That if you place this illustration in front of you like this, now I have to see which is which. It's actually upside down. Yeah. Oh, well. Oh, no, I think, Yeah, no, right. If you know what the syllable om looks like, there's a syllable above and below the wheel, the illustration of the wheel. One of them has a the one had it looks like, well, those of you who are familiar with yoga know what the syllable om looks like, and that's the syllable that will be to the front. So it's like that. You hold it, like that. And as you can see, along in the center of the wheel, there's the tom. And surrounding that are the letters for the of the longevity mantra. Om mama ayu pune shana puktin kuru ha. Although it works different than that. It's not ha. Anyway, long story short, the longevity mantra, little pearls of that. Because remember, we don't know Tibetan letters. So Rinpoche said we can see small pearl-like spheres of light. We can see that. And so then we see these arranged around the om, which is in the center of the wheel. An ah floats above it. That ah floats above it, and the ha floats below it. So all of the mantra is represented. And the syllables tare, tu, tare, ture, so are on the spokes of the wheel. I think it's fun that baby shower people have arrived. It's new life. They're celebrating. I love it that we're having a Tara longevity practice study session up here, and downstairs they're going to celebrate somebody's birth. That's kind of cool. So it's kind of like, may we all be reborn as Buddhas, right? So that's the visualization in the heart. Now, you may, as I mentioned earlier, not be able to see any of this, but knowing that there's the lotus flower with the moon disk on top of it in your heart, and that the wheel is on top of that, and that the tom is in the center of it, and that the spokes have these pearl letters of the main 10-syllable mantra, and that the inner hub has the longevity mantra letters. It's like that. So that's a lot. But whether you can see it all or not, you can see the action, because what's going to happen now is that light is going to come out from those letters. The letters are not moving, even though it's a wheel and they're arranged around it. They are not spinning. The wheel is not spinning. The letters are not spinning. They're motionless and radiating brilliantly light of all 5 colors, but mainly white light. And it says that this light, this light goes, the light goes out, and it does several things. I'm going to look and see if I sent you the correct, got to cross my fingers, the correct outline for this practice. May it be right. Okay, now that's the illustration sheet. Now I can't find the outline again. Too many windows open. Can't find it again. Complicated. No luck. Okay, well, all right. Dear me. I need a copy of the outline because I want to read to everybody from it, and I can't do that because I can't find it on my desktop. Thank you. I'm sorry. If I could find it, I'm going to look one more time and see if I can find it one more time. I'm going to start putting things away. So hopefully the only things that are left are the outline. And then I'll be able to find it. Because I want everybody to be able to follow along. Nope, no luck. Okay. All right. Here you go. I found it. Very last thing. I was giving up and it was like, okay, I know one other place where it lives. So as you go down through this outline, you'll see a phrase that is the recitation of it says the mantra recitation. And then you'll see here the words, the recitation of the root mantra. There's a verbal aspect to it, which is to avoid incorrect pronunciation and slurring. Om tare, tu tare, ture, soha, very clear. Not too quickly, not too slowly. Rinpoche said you should recite it loud enough so your shirt collar can hear you. Om tare, tu tare, ture, soha, om tare, tu tare. He said, you don't bellow it. He says, and not so quietly that you're not saying it all. Then there's the mental aspect. What are you thinking about? He said, as you recite, all of the syllables on the wheel become more radiant. Then there's a two-part visualization, each part having two distinct phases. And so now we're going to see lights come from these syllables on the wheel in your Hardastara. Phase 1, light radiates out principally from the Tam syllable in the center, but also from the syllables surrounding it. And it makes immeasurable offerings to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in the 10 directions and 3 times. Remember this? This happened earlier. We did this earlier when we were getting ready to visualize ourselves as Tara. And then the light returns, phase 2, with the blessings from the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. The light then goes outward and benefits sentient beings, augmenting their life force and giving them everything they need, as well as knowledge and wisdom. When the light returns, it brings the merit of having benefited beings with it. So look at what you're doing for yourself. You're making offerings to the Buddhas and with the light going out, and then you're visualizing that the light comes back to you as a blessing. And then you make the offering of light to those who are in the 6 realms of existence, and then the merit of that comes back to you. Then the light goes to all inanimate objects. Now you're going to, now you've dealt with making offerings to those above, compassion, offering compassion to those below. And now you're going to make use of the power of the world to increase and extend your life. Light then goes out to all inanimate objects of the outer world, composed of the world is composed of what they call the 5 elements, earth, fire, water, and earth, air, and space. And it enriches their life force by giving them everything they need. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong one. Light goes then out to all inanimate objects of the outer world, rocks, lakes, trees, enhancing their vitality. The light returns with the vital essence of the inanimate. Rinpoche said it's like one lamp lighting another. The flame of the first lamp is not diminished by lighting the other one. Then the light goes out again to all beings, the animate of this world, enhancing their vitality. Then the wholesome essence of all beings, wisdom, knowledge, health, and wholesome qualities returns with the light and melts into the Tom syllable and mantra garlands, which blaze even brighter with vitality. And so this two-phased visualization starts with lights going up and making offerings to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and then going down and benefiting sentient beings. And then in the second phase, light goes out from your heart and increases the vitality of the world. And then it returns the excess vitality to you. And then it goes out to all sentient beings, increasing their vitality. And then the excess vitality that is brimming from them comes back to you. Rinpoche said, you're not stealing anything here. You're actually giving Tara's blessing to the inanimate world and Tara's blessing to the animate or the beings in the world. And then they become brimming. They overflow with vitality. And this excess vitality returns in the form of light to the mantra syllables in your heart. And it blesses you. This is the main visualization that is done during the recitation of the 10-syllable mantra, Om Tare Tu Tare Turi Soha. Rinpoche talks quite a bit about this in the wish-fulfilling wheel. But he says that while you're reciting, he says it's important that when you're doing the recitations and these visualizations, that you go through them in a methodical way, not in an impulsive way. He said, for example, at first, you may actually need to remind yourself of everything. You might start by reminding yourself while you're reciting Om Tare Tu Tare Turi Soha. You may review in your mind the palace. I'm sorry, not the palace. The protection circle with the cross vajras on the floor and the vajra fence and tent and canopy, and then the canopy all around that's covered in flames and the little flame at the top. Then you can go inside and see the four-sided palace of white Tara, which he describes in detail. I didn't get into it today because there wasn't enough time. But you can see this four-sided palace, and inside is you yourself as Tara. And you can review the visualization of yourself as Tara by imagining the top of your head and then working down through the face and the shoulders. And just as you did with the picture when you were training with the picture, you can see it go down to the lotus flower beneath you and then back up. Rinpoche said you start when you're reviewing a deity, he said start at the top and end at the top. Don't end halfway. He said in this way you can methodically and slowly go through the entire visualization. The protection circle, the palace, yourself as Tara from top to bottom and back up again. And then inside your heart, you can see the lotus flower, the moon disk, the wheel, the Tom syllable in the center, the A above, the Ha below, and all the syllables of the mantra, either on the rim or on the spokes of the wheel. And going over this, he says it may take time, and it may be that you don't get to do too much emanating and gathering, emanating of blessings and gathering of offerings and blessings and gathering of blessings. You may not have time to do all of it, but he said you get a lot of mantras recited if you do review the whole thing. But in a group setting, we don't have much time. But it's fun, to be able to go over this in your mind and see what you look like as Tara while you're, at least see what you look like as Tara while the group is reciting. In the group recitation, you may not have time to go over the whole thing, the protection circle and the palace and all of that, but you might have time to review the visualization of yourself as white Tara from the top of your head to the lotus beneath you and back up again, and then into your heart as white Tara, seeing the lotus, the moon, the wheel, the syllables, and then the light coming and returning. First to the Buddhas and to the sentient beings, and then next to the world. sort of revitalizing the physical world and revitalizing the beings in the world, and the excess of all that vitality returns to you. And so that's what you think about when you're reciting the 10-syllable mantra. You can choose any part of that you have time for, even if it's just seeing yourself as Tara and nothing more. You'll be that much farther toward coming to understand yourself as Tara. Khenpo Rinpoche said there are three aspects, and he talks about this at the beginning of this chapter on mantra recitation. There are three aspects to mantra practice, visualization practice: Sal, Dak, and Ten. Sal, the Tibetan word Sal, Sal means clarity. He said, you're really not going to have clarity at the beginning, so just know that you are Tara, even if you can't see all of the aspects of yourself. Dak means that you think about the purity of what you're visualizing. I really am Tara. And then 10, D-A-K is like the purity. And then 10, T-E-N, means stability, meaning that you stay with that sense of being Tara. You don't think mundane thoughts like what's for lunch or what am I doing tomorrow? And if you do think those things, it's okay. You just come back. If you recognize you've wandered off the topic, just like in shamatha, you just come back. So there are lots and lots of ways to do this. Let's see. Here is something that this is written. It is not the intention of a practice like this to rest your mind on any one aspect of it for too long. The best approach, Rinpoche says, is to move from one aspect of the visualization to another. For example, initially, you can review the basic visualization of yourself as Tara, her environment, and so on, so you have a sense of the context. Then rest your mind as well as you can on the wheel, the seed syllable, and the mantras. At some point, you will find that this becomes stale and your mind becomes restless. Then you can do the emanation and gathering of light rays. Then he says, when you're weary of that, you can simply rest your attention on the sound of the mantra, or you can direct your attention back to the deity's form. Move gently from one aspect to another, not forcing yourself to dwell on any one aspect for too long. Then you may have time because there's also a longevity mantra. And so if you want to, you can do a special longevity practice. And that longevity practice involves the visualization of the Amitabha. Remember the Amitabha who's at the crown of your head? You may not have thought of him much, but he's there. Well, then you would change pages. I think in the 8.5 by 11, you'll see that there is you have to shift to a different page. It'll take a minute.
Using the pecha, go to the bottom of page 25.
And in the pecha, it's the bottom of page 25. And then in the 8.5 by 11. Oh boy. I can't find it. I know it's here. I guess it must be before the Torma offering. Dear me. I don't see it in the 8.5 by 11. That's one of those things. Okay, very good. Phew. Page 31 in the 8.5 by 11. Chi Woi Upak me ki, it begins. And at the bottom of page 25 in the Pecha, it says, Chivoy, yeah, same thing, bottom line. Through invoking the mind of Amitabha on my crown, the nectar of the begging bowl in his hands boils over and enters through my crown, filling my whole body and accomplishing immortality. And then he says, thinking in this way, you should also sometimes recite the long life mantra. And Rinpoche in Wish Fulfilling Wheel says that even though they use the word boil, that's just a figure of speech. It's not hot. He said that the way he talks about it is, see here. Yeah, here it is. He says, you visualize you're still Tara and you're crowned with Amitabha. Then he says, with a sincere attitude in mind, you earnestly think about Amitabha on the crown of your head and ask him to give you the power, the city of long life. He is pleased to acknowledge your sincere request. And from the free syllable in his heart, he emanates light, which goes to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in the 10 directions in 3 times. The light returns with their blessings, relative and ultimate powers or cities, and the relative and ultimate quintessence of samsara and nirvana. It returns to the begging bowl of Amitabha that he's holding in his 2 hands in the form of a white Amrita. The Amrita begins to boil and then overflows and enters you as Tara through the crown of your head. He said, it's not painful. It's not boiling. It bubbles over the rim, but it fills your whole body completely. For as long as you continue to recite the long mantra, Om Tare Tu Tare Turi Mama Ayu Punejana Puktin Kuru Soha. He says, as long as you recite that, you continue with this visualization of this boiling over of this Amrita and filling you over and over and over again. And he said you also can visualize, if you want to work on the longevity of another person, you can visualize them as being present with you and that there's an Amitabha over their head as well. He said, let's see. And so he said there's a couple different ways to do it. You can see it with them with an Amitabha over their head, but then he has another way to do it. He says, when you get to the long life section, Amitabha is on your head and Amitabha is also on the other person's head. And when you make the request, the Amitabha overflows both the Amrita overflows both begging bowls and you both get filled, you and the person you're praying for. But then he said you can also do it as seeing that that after you get filled, that the Amrita flows through your body and flows out the tips of your fingers of your right hand. Remember, your hand is in supreme generosity. And it enters the person through the crown of his or her head, filling their body and washing away obstacles and so on. There's later on, there's a lot of nuances that that one is good to do, that practice is good to do for peers, people you know. Whereas the Amitabha is a good one to do for a guru or a teacher if you're praying for the longevity of a specific guru or teacher. So that's another visualization that you can use. But there are lots of ways of working, with the visualization. Any questions about the mantra visualization? Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, let's see. No, it's not. It's actually in the text. On the Pecha, it will be on page 14, middle line, but on the in the 8.5 by 11, it will be on. Hang on. Yeah, it's on page 17 of the 8.5 by 11. Om tare tu tare ture mama ayu pune jana puktin kuru soha. Okay, so that's the longevity mantra. In the 8.5 by 11, it's on page 17 on the top. Om tare tu tare ture mama ayu pune jana puktin kuru soha. Ayu is like, mama is me, and ayu is like longevity, like that. May we have this longevity. Other questions? Anything coming from Zoom? Okie dokie. Oh, got one.
How can we use throughout the day? Low card, using Lama, post, visualizations, offerings, sending this.
Yeah, I think that the questioner is asking how can we work with the Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha mantra during the day, and I'm thinking my first thought, because I have to look and see what Rinpoche says about post meditation here. In Wish Fulfilling Wheel, he talks about post meditation on page 79. He says in the post meditative state, he said you are Tara. So he said you can maintain the conviction that as Tara, you will do whatever is beneficial for others. That's the first and foremost, is to think that you're Tara and that you're performing benefit for beings. That means even when you're like driving the car, going grocery shopping, washing your dishes, you can suddenly, ding, be Tara, doing those things for the benefit of beings. And he says, as soon as he says, then he said, furthermore, as Tara, you should see that the nature of all objects and sounds in the phenomena world are insubstantial and lack true existence. They are without any essence as being what they appear to be. Although they seem to exist, they are like a mirage. They're like the illusions produced by a stage magician. And so he said, sacred outlook is the most important thing to do, to think about that. He doesn't appear to mention the mantra here, but he does go quite into detail about seeing all things as dreams and illusions as a way of extending the practice of Tara into everyday life. But that doesn't mean that's the only thing one can do. I think reciting the mantra Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha is really beneficial. You can recite it to your pets. You can recite it to insects, beings that you find that are in distress, and that sort of things. You can recite the mantra anytime of the day, thinking that you're Tara benefiting beings. In terms of the longevity visualizations, he doesn't talk about using those in everyday life. He mostly talks about seeing yourself as Tara, undertaking the activities of your day, even the mundane ones, as activity for the benefit of beings. But the mantra is a great thing to recite anytime, because it's like Tara's activity in words. So yeah. Other questions? We still have a little bit to go yet. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. He wants to know what it means that she's part of the Lotus family. Yeah, she's part of the activity of the Buddha Amitabha. In fact, there's even a legend that the Buddha Amitabha was there are two ways this story is told. One is that Chenrezig was crying tears for the world, and then one tear came out as white Tara, another as green Tara. But the same thing is talked about with Amitabha, that one tear came as Chenrezig and the other as Tara. So, there's lots of ways that these Buddhas and Bodhisattvas extend that. But I can't get into it more right now because I still have part of the sadhana to cover. But you can read a little bit more about the five Buddha families in a wonderful book called The Five Buddha Families by Trungpa Rinpoche. And you can get it for like not much money online. Just $1 or $2, an electronic copy of the five Buddha families. And it'll talk more about the activity of each Buddha family. Okay. Well, then let's go to the, once we have finished our longevity mantra, we have to skip around in the practice again. And for those of us who are in the Pecha, that means that takes us to page 15. For those of us in the 8.5 by 11, that takes us to page 18. Nangsi tamche pakma drome is what it's the words it starts in Tibetan. English, all possible appearances become the mandala of noble Tara. So in other words, everything that appears and exists, you think of as being part of Tara's pure realm. Then it all dissolves back into the protection wheel, the protection circle. You know, the flames dissolving into the dome, and the dome dissolving into the palace, and the palace surrounding you dissolves into yourself as Tara, and then yourself as Tara dissolve into your heart, and the wheel, the lotus and moon dissolving into the wheel into the syllables of the mantra into the central tom syllable. And furthermore, then from the tom syllable, it dissolves from bottom to the top and into a dot of light. And that dot of light then dissolves into emptiness. And then you rest there. And so you rest in this sort of quiet space of emptiness for a moment. And he says, then what will happen next is that a thought will arise for you. A thought will arise after you have completed your mantra recitation. All of these things will dissolve. Then he says, and again, page 79, wish-fulfilling wheel, he says, having rested in a state of emptiness for as long as you can, at some point, a thought is going to arise. Then, when practicing this, the completion stage, you attempt to recognize the arising of any thought while it is happening. As soon as that thought arises that brings you out of the experience of basic emptiness and your basic nature, at that very instant, riding, as it were, on that thought, you then purposefully re-arise instantaneously as Tara. In that way, instead of following the thought into whatever story that thought's going to tell you, instead of following the thought, you allow it, you use it as a prompt to re-visualize yourself as Tara. He says, thus the thought arises out of this non-referential state into the form of Tara. He says, you don't have to go through the process of visualization like we did before. It's instantaneous. It happens instantaneously. You become Tara. And he says, if you want to see it in detail, he said, you can see the white Om, the red Ah, the right white Om at the forehead, the red Ah at the throat, the blue Hung at the heart and the Tom, and so forth inside. He says, in the post-meditative state, your mind appears as Tara. And then he said, maintain the conviction that as Tara, you will do whatever is beneficial for beings. And then you immediately, the next part of recitation is, once again, it says, I become the body of noble Tara, whose 3 places are marked with Om, Ah, and Hung. Then it says, ultimately, the appearance and sound of all phenomena have no inherent nature. Their appearing aspect is illusion-like, and they are utterly pure as the essential nature of the wisdom deity. Then, after that, having completed that practice, we then dedicate the merit of all of it. We dedicate the merit of all of it, the supplication to the masters of the lineage, the creation phase where we create the visualization of ourself as Tara gradually, and then the protection circle and the palace and all of that. We do all of those parts of the meditation, right? And we just perceive after that moment that of dissolving it all into emptiness, that we re-arise instantly as Tara, and all of that is, I guess you could say, is the world in which we live now. This is our new reality. Our new reality is Tara's pure realm, and other sentient beings are who we benefit. And so then we dedicate all of it, the visualizations of the palaces and the visualization of the lights coming out and going, we gather all of that goodness together and dedicate it. It was a long practice, right? It took a long time. The supplication, the visualization, the mantra, the everything. We imagine all of that merit, and we dedicate all of that to the benefit of beings. And then it says, Gewadi Nirdudak. It says, by this virtue may I swiftly accomplish a Tara, white Tara, and establish all beings without exception at that level. And then you can recite any other dedication prayer that you like, such as the Sonam Dei, or the, may all, through this merit, may all attain omniscience, may all defeat the enemy, wrongdoing, and so forth. Or the Jampal Pawo Jitar Kempadang one, which is, like the Manjushri and Samantabhadra, like their dedication. I make my dedication for the benefit of beings. And you can recite longevity supplications for the gurus and so forth. But there are other parts of this practice that we didn't cover today, most specifically the offering of torma. In part 2, when we teach White Tara practice part 2, the ritual, we'll go through the entire practice, walk through it, and talk about the mudras, what hand gestures we do where, and then we'll walk through the torma offering as well as the chanting and how the chanting is done. We didn't have enough time to do all of that today, but I can give you a short description of how to pronounce transliterated phrases, how to work with a transliterated page. Because a lot of folks look at the Tibetan and they are not sure how to pronounce it. If you like, we can go to the very beginning of the practice, the very first page that says Namo Guru Arya Taraye, and we'll start there. And I will walk you through the first few lines so that you get a sense of how these are pronounced. We start with the phrase Namo Guru Arya Taraye, because a lot of the phrases and a lot of the pronunciations are right there. Namo. Okay, the A that you see in transliterated text is almost always the A in father. It's not the, I forget how that A is described. Like, it's not like the A in sang and so forth. It is namo, that. And the O sound at the end is always that long O sound, namo. Then the guru, the G is a hard G sound, and the U is the U sound. And then the next word, Arya. There we have the A in father again with the Arya, like that. Tara. And then Ye. What you'll see there is that Y-E, the final E is pronounced as the syllable A-Y, Yay. Now the next line gives us some more pronunciations. Droma. You see there's an umlaut or 2 dots over the O, which gives it an U sound. It's not droma, but it's a softened sound, droma. Nak, droma, and then knock. This is one of the harder phrases, harder sounds to make. NG. What does the NG? Is it nagak? And it's not. It's the sound that you make in your mouth when you say the word sing. Look at what your tongue does as you over enunciate the word sing. Sing, nga, nga, nga. It's a na sound that you make by the tongue coming up into the roof of the mouth. Sing. See how you make that? Now take just the nga sound, nga, 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 nga. You know, where you can make that sound and it's knock, knock. It sounds a little like N, knock. It's not knock, knock, like where you put the tongue behind the front teeth. That's knock. Knock is more in the center of your mouth. It's a little, it's weird. And it takes a minute to, you have to think your way through it. Knock. I had to practice this with my Tibetan teacher. She was very patient. Nah, 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 nah. You know, it's like, but I wasn't getting it. And then once I figured out the actual physicality of it, the physicality of what's happening with your tongue when you make that sing, nah, nah, nah. You can just make the nah sound by itself. That's one of the hardest ones you'll see in Tibetan pronunciation. That's it. I think that's the hardest one. Gi, the final I is the ee sound. Gi. Drol ma, ngak gi, wang. So there's your A in father. Wang. There's a nga sound. Chuk. And that's the u sound. Chuk. Ser, S-E-R. Ling, L-I-N-G, ling. Pa. So that's all normal, the normal way we would pronounce it in English. And then the next line, Jo Wo. And then Drom, there's your long O. And then Tun, because that's the U sound. Chen, Nga again. Dre Pa Zap. Let me see. Oh, here's the one I was looking for. The next line, Dak Po, Du. And then Kien, Khyen. You'll see a couple of these types of phrases that look like that. Kien. There's also a Gyan with a G and a Kien with a K. And it's more of an aspirated sound, Ken and Kien. Kien and Gen. And let's see. People want to try it? Anybody want to try it? You want to try to read the next one? Rick Rell. Yeah. Sorry. Rigrel, bottom line, page 3.
Dude,
Mm-hmm.
then Ben Gar so Shri.
It's go, Shri J. Uh-huh. J. Yeah, see the J sound is the regular J, like we would pronounce ja, 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 like that. You want to try one, Ryan? You want to try the next line? No? Mhm. Chodrak. Or do you want to try the phrase that she has? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that I threw you a curve. It's soy. Yeah, the TS, when you see a TS together, I'm glad you happen to have that one because it allows me to teach that one. TS, it sounds like you don't pronounce the to soy. It's a tsa sound. Soy. And then the next one is Jap. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. That's it. Perfect. Okay, super. Sorry about that. And it looks like I don't really have time to have everybody try it before the end of the time we have. But you get the idea. I'm sorry. You know, it's just like hate to put people on the spot. I apologize. But at least you get the idea. And if you have questions, you can ask me or any of the other Omses, the people who lead the chant practices, or the old timers, because they all pretty much know them. And because of time, we actually have to stop here unless there are any final questions that you might have. Can I pronounce the mantra again? The 10-syllable one? Om Tare, Tu Tare, Ture, Soha. Like that. Om Tare, Tu Tare, Ture, Soha. And the third time, Om Tare, Tu Tare, Ture, Soha. Now, sometimes it is pronounced with Sanskrit pronunciation, so it's Svaha, but I go with the Soha because that's how I learned it. Then the longer one is Om Tare, Tu Tare, Ture, Mama, Ayu, Jana, Pukting. Did I miss one? Did I miss a syllable? Oh yeah. See, I have to get it in front of me because otherwise I'll muff it. Let me see if I can find it here. Yeah, Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Mama Ayu Punye Jana Pukting Kuru Soha. Like that. Anything else? Anything online? Oh, and what I can say is I can't believe we got through it. Sorry for all the fussing because I didn't have things laid out on my desktop. Well, see, I'm one of those people that has too many things up on their desktops, on their laptops. But I'm hoping that by coming to the class or by attending it online, that this will give you some curiosity and interest in Tara and learning more about Tara and learning more about the practice and developing a practice of coming here and reciting with us. I've forgotten which day of the month which Sunday is the first Sunday is White Tara. Just remember White Tara. Okay, longevity first, right? Okay, so that's that one. So you can do that. I have been requested to do a 7-day White Tara retreat, which is something that the previous Situ Rinpoche talks about in the text. It says in a retreat of about 7 days with confidence and joy, untimely death surely can be prevented. So okay, I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna try that. Because of all people, the previous Jamgon Control III, told me that I should do a White Tara retreat every year. And I did it until I went into 3-year retreat. And after that, I have not been able to manage one. And somebody from here asked me to do a 7-day White Tara retreat here. We have to figure out the logistics. And once we figure out the logistics of how to have a retreat involving overnight stays here, if we can do that, and if so, how, and we have to work all that out and how it will work around our regular schedule and so forth and so on. So there's a lot to do. But let's pull together. I just appreciate your patience with all of that. And now let's dedicate the merit of the class. We can do that. Okay, we'll recite this in English. And we'll start with the words, by this merit, thinking we dedicate all this goodness to all beings. By this merit, may all attain omniscience. May it defeat the enemy, wrongdoing. From the stormy waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death, from the ocean of samsara, may I free all beings. The courageous Manjushri, who knows everything as it is, Samantabhadra, who also knows in the same way, and all the bodhisattvas, that I may follow in their path, I completely dedicate all this virtue. All right. Thank you. Thanks everyone for being here today. Really, really appreciate it. And thanks to all the technical people who did everything, Julaine, who came in to open the shrine, and all the folks who helped with laying all handing out all the things and making photocopies. And then Don, host with the most, thank you so much. And I think we also had a Zoom host. Sunma is probably there hosting for us. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So take good care, everyone. Marvelous. Happy to be here.